Hello, I want you to stop for a moment and think honestly about your relationship with food since your diabetes diagnosis entered your life. It's likely become a battlefield, a constant exercise in vigilance, and above all, a long and tiring list of no's. Don't eat that bread you loved so much. Don't drink that fruit juice in the morning. Be careful with every bite of rice, every bite of potato. It's a life lived defensively, a narrative of restriction and loss, where food, which should be a source of pleasure and nourishment, becomes a source of anxiety and fear. What if I told you, with the conviction of decades of seeing patients on this very journey, that this approach is fundamentally incomplete? What if the key to turning the tide, to truly transforming your health, lies not just in what you courageously remove from your plate, but in what you strategically add to it? In our conversation today, we're going to do something radically different. We're going to tear up the list of no-nos. Instead, I'm going to share with you a closely guarded secret from many of my most successful patients. I'm going to reveal 3 specific foods that they repeatedly describe with the same phrase: "Doctor, this changed everything." These aren't fads or exotic superfoods. They're accessible and powerful allies. I'll detail what they are, delve into the fascinating science that explains why they work so effectively in a body struggling with sugar, and most crucially, I'll give you a practical guide to integrating them into your life and starting to feel the difference. I know what this burden is. It's waking up, and your first thought is the prick of the lancet in your finger, a number that will dictate your mood and your choices for the rest of the day. It's going out to dinner with friends and feeling like the patient at the table, analyzing the menu not in search of pleasure, but in search of safety. It's the silent fear, that constant companion that whispers about the future, about the possible complications that could affect your eyes, your kidneys, your feet, your heart. It's the inexplicable fatigue that sets in the afternoon, the mental fog that robs you of your ability to concentrate. It's feeling at times betrayed by your own body. My promise to you today is to offer a new map, a map that doesn't focus on forbidden territory, but reveals the path to the oasis, a path where you stop being a passive manager of a disease and become the active protagonist of your health. A path where food becomes your most powerful pharmacy. And the gateway to this new reality opens with our first food. The first ally on this journey, almost unanimously described as a game changer, belongs to a humble yet extraordinarily powerful category: seeds rich in soluble fiber, with a special focus on chia and flaxseed. I understand the potential hesitation. Seeds? Doctor, with so many advanced medicines, can the answer be something so simple? The beauty and complexity of human biology often reside in the elegance of the most fundamental solutions, and the mechanism at work here is a masterpiece of natural engineering. For those living with diabetes, mealtime can be a time of great metabolic stress. Especially when consuming carbohydrates, the challenge is the speed and intensity with which the sugar, glucose, resulting from digestion, floods the bloodstream. It's a veritable tidal wave of glucose. Your pancreas, often already overwhelmed, desperately tries to produce enough insulin to handle the wave. And your cells, which have already developed resistance, can't open their doors efficiently to receive this glucose. The result is that alarming spike on your monitor, an event that, repeated day after day, causes cumulative damage. Now imagine this. Before this sugar tidal wave hits the shores of your metabolism, you install a clever containment barrier, a kind of biological sponge that expands and not only blocks the wave, but transforms it into a gentle, slow, and predictable tide. This is precisely the function of the soluble fiber found in chia and flaxseed. When these tiny seeds come into contact with the liquids in your stomach, magic happens. They transform, creating a thick, viscous gel. This gel isn't digested, but it mixes with other foods, forming a matrix that traps sugars and starches. This matrix drastically slows down the entire digestive process. The conversion of carbohydrates into glucose slows down. The passage of this glucose from the intestine to the blood becomes gradual. Instead of a sharp, dangerous spike, you get a steady, prolonged release of energy. You effectively flatten the glycemic curve, turning the metabolic roller coaster into a smooth ride across a flat plane. But the benefits go beyond that. This gel fills the stomach, activating satiety receptors that send powerful signals to your brain, telling it, "We're full. We don't need any more food right now." This combats the reactive hunger that often occurs after a sugar spike and helps immensely with weight control, a cornerstone of type 2 diabetes management. And more recently, we've discovered that this soluble fiber is a feast for the good bacteria that live in your gut. They ferment this fiber and produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, such as butyrate, which itself has been shown in studies to improve insulin sensitivity. In other words, you're not just controlling your sugar levels, you're also nourishing an internal ecosystem that works in your favor. To maximize this power, practical application is essential. My most effective recommendation is prehydration. Take 1 or 2 tablespoons of chia seeds or freshly ground flaxseed for better absorption and mix it in a large glass of water. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes. You'll see the mixture transform into a dense gel. Drink this mixture about 20 to 30 minutes before your main meals, lunch and dinner. By doing this, you're lining your stomach with this protective barrier. It's like applying a primer before painting. You prepare the surface for a much better and more controlled result. If this metaphor of a smart containment barrier resonates with you, if the idea of not just reacting to sugar but anticipating it with a natural tool gives you a new sense of control, I urge you to like this video. Your like helps this message reach others who are feeling lost in this fight. And if you're ready for the next step, subscribe to the channel, because our second food doesn't directly address sugar, but attacks an even more insidious and fundamental enemy in the progression of diabetes: silent inflammation. Now let's move on to our second pillar, our second transformative food. To fully understand it, we need to make a crucial adjustment to our way of viewing diabetes. For decades, we treated it as a simple high blood sugar disease. Modern science, however, shows us a more complex and profound picture. Type 2 diabetes is, at its core, a condition of chronic, low-grade inflammation. Think of this inflammation as static, a constant hiss in your body's communication system. It's not an acute, painful inflammation like a sprained ankle, but a persistent simmer that day after day, year after year, wears down the gears of your metabolism. This inflammation is one of the main architects of insulin resistance. Let's revisit our lock and key analogy. Remember, insulin is the key that unlocks the cell's door, the lock or insulin receptor, so glucose can enter and generate energy. In insulin resistance, this lock is damaged, as if covered in a layer of rust. The key, insulin, is present. Your pancreas may even be producing more and more keys in desperation, but the rust prevents the key from fitting and turning properly. The cell's door remains stubbornly closed. Glucose accumulates outside in the bloodstream, like a frustrated crowd unable to enter a stadium. This cellular rust is inflammation. It's caused by several factors, including excess blood sugar itself, which generates compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are highly inflammatory. So the smartest strategy is not only to reduce the crowd outside, the sugar, but also to polish the lock, removing the rust. And this is where our second group of allies comes into play: healthy fats, specifically monounsaturated fats, and polyunsaturated fats rich in omega-3 fatty acids. We're talking about high-quality extra virgin olive oil, avocados, walnuts, almonds, and deep-sea, cold-water fish like wild salmon, mackerel, and sardines. These fats are the biological equivalent of a high-performance lubricating and anti-rust oil. They act at the molecular level to address inflammation. They help balance the ratio of omega-6, often pro-inflammatory and excessive in the modern diet, to omega-3, anti-inflammatory. This rebalancing calms the immune system, reduces the production of inflammatory cytokines, and ultimately cleans the rust from cell membranes. When you consume these fats, your cell membrane, which is made of fat, becomes more fluid and flexible. The LOX, insulin receptors, embedded in this membrane function more efficiently again. The insulin key fits better. the door opens more easily. Your insulin sensitivity improves, not through brute force, but through biochemical finesse. The story of Thomas, a patient of mine, illustrates this perfectly. Thomas was a 58-year-old engineer, a methodical man who followed the rules to the letter. He had eliminated almost all carbohydrates. His diet was a monotonous repetition of grilled chicken breast and lettuce leaves. Even so, his fasting blood glucose stubbornly remained high, and his glycated hemoglobin levels didn't improve. Worse, he felt terribly ill. He lived in a state of chronic fatigue with joint pain that he attributed to age. He was fighting a fire, sugar, while ignoring the gas leak, inflammation, that fueled it. The intervention we performed was counterintuitive for him. We reduced his protein slightly and added plenty of high-quality fat. We began generously dressing his salad with the best olive oil he could find. We added half an avocado to his lunch every day. We replaced part of the chicken with salmon or sardines 3 times a week. At first, he was terrified. Fat? Doctor, but doesn't fat make you fat, and is it bad for your heart? We had to debunk these myths. Within 3 months, the change was profound. His fasting blood glucose levels began to drop steadily, but the most impactful was his report. The fog in my brain has disappeared. I can concentrate for hours on end. The pain in my knees has practically disappeared, and I no longer need that obligatory nap after lunch. I feel functional again. With close monitoring, we were able to reduce the dose of one of his oral hypoglycemic medications. Thomas learned that to control his diabetes, he needed to nourish his body, not just deprive it. Does Thomas's experience ring a bell? Perhaps you've intuitively noticed that during periods of increased stress or when your body feels more inflamed and achy, your blood sugar levels become more rebellious. This connection isn't your imagination, it's pure physiology. If you feel comfortable, share in the comments. Have you noticed this connection between how your body feels, inflammation, pain, stress, and your blood sugar control? Your personal observation could be incredibly validating for someone else. We've already established 2 battlefronts, the first with fiber to control the sugar tide, the second with healthy fats to extinguish the fire of inflammation. Now let's build our third and final pillar, the one that focuses on defense and repair, protecting your body from the damage that, unfortunately, unstable blood sugar levels can cause in the long term. Our third hero food group is the cruciferous vegetable family and dark leafy greens. Here, I'm talking specifically about broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts, and on the other side, kale, spinach, Swiss chard, and arugula. I know your grandmother and your doctor have told you to eat your greens, but I want you to understand why, not as vague health advice, but as a precise medical prescription targeted to your condition. When blood sugar levels remain chronically high, a devastating process called oxidative stress occurs. Think of excess sugar in your bloodstream as tiny shards of glass or rust particles. These reactive molecules, called free radicals, ricochet throughout your system, damaging everything they touch. They rust the delicate inner walls of your blood vessels, from the large arteries of your heart to the microscopic capillaries of your eyes. They damage the myelin sheath that protects your nerves, especially in your feet and hands. They attack the filtration units of your kidneys. This process of progressive cellular rusting is the root cause of the most feared complications of diabetes: neuropathy, retinopathy, nephropathy, and cardiovascular disease. How can we defend ourselves against this internal aggression? The answer lies in antioxidants. But there's a crucial distinction here. It's not just about consuming antioxidants, but about consuming substances that command your body to produce its own arsenal of antioxidant defenses. And this is where cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli and its sprouts, become true superstars. They are rich in a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is one of the most potent natural activators of a genetic pathway within our cells called NRF2. Think of the NRF2 pathway as the general of the cellular defense system. When sulforaphane arrives and activates this general, it gives the order for cells to begin producing their own antioxidant and detoxifying enzymes, such as glutathione, often called the master antioxidant. It's a monumental difference. Instead of just providing one soldier a dietary antioxidant, you're sending the general who mobilizes an entire army of internal soldiers. You're empowering your body to defend itself from the inside out. The science behind this is robust. Studies have shown that sulforaphane can protect endothelial cells, the lining of blood vessels, from damage induced by high glucose. Dark leafy greens, in turn, complement this action brilliantly. They are one of the best sources of magnesium, a vital mineral in which more than 80% of diabetics are deficient and which is an essential cofactor for insulin to function properly. They also provide nitrates that help dilate blood vessels and improve circulation, as well as specific antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, which accumulate in the retina and protect it like a pair of internal sunglasses. To maximize the benefits of cruciferous vegetables, here's a practical tip. Sulforaphane is formed when two substances in the plant, which are in separate compartments, mix. This happens when you cut or chew. To optimize production, try the chop and wait method. Chop the broccoli or kale and let it rest for 30 to 40 minutes before cooking, preferably with light steam to avoid destroying the enzymes. So, see the complete strategy unfold. You're not just eating salad. You're ingesting a symphony of bioactive compounds. With the fiber in chia, you control the entry of the enemy, excess sugar. With the fats in avocado, you extinguish the fire of inflammation. And with the army of broccoli and kale, you send in the repair and protection teams to shield your cells from future damage. It's a holistic, intelligent, and profoundly effective approach. Integrating this three-pronged strategy into your daily life may seem complex, but it can be simplified through a visual mental model I call the mindful plate method. Forget for a moment about obsessively counting calories or grams of carbohydrates, which can be exhausting and anxiety-inducing. Instead, focus on the architecture, the composition of your plate. Take your plate and divide it mentally. Half of it, a generous 50%, should be your protective fortress. Fill it with a colorful array of non-starchy vegetables, dark leafy greens, steamed broccoli, roasted cauliflower, sliced bell peppers, sautéed mushrooms. This is your foundation of fiber, vitamins, minerals, and crucially, your antioxidant army, food 3. Now look at the remaining half. Divide it in two. A quarter of your plate, or 25% of the total, should be reserved for a high-quality protein source. Protein is vital for muscle repair, enzyme and hormone production, and also plays a key role in satiety, helping to further stabilize blood sugar levels. Opt for omega-3 rich fish, free-range eggs, organic chicken, or plant-based sources like lentils and chickpeas. The last quarter of the plate is where carbohydrates can safely live, but not just any carbohydrate. Choose complex, slow-release carbohydrates that are already packed with their own fiber. Consider a small portion of sweet potato, pumpkin, quinoa, brown rice, or a slice of sourdough whole wheat bread. And where do our other heroes come in? They're the finishers, the maestros who bring harmony to the dish. Use healthy fats generously. Food 2. Drizzle your vegetable fortress with excellent extra virgin olive oil. Add creamy avocado slices, sprinkle on a handful of nuts or sunflower seeds. And of course, don't forget your pre-meal ritual, your containment barrier of chia or flaxseed gel, food 1, taken 20 minutes beforehand, setting the stage for smooth, controlled digestion. This approach transforms eating. It shifts you from a scarcity mindset to a mindset of nutritional abundance. You stop asking yourself, what can't I eat? And start asking yourself, how can I add more protective nutrients to my plate today? The story of Clara, a retired teacher, is a testament to the power of this shift in perspective. She came to my office with mild depression, largely caused by her condition. She felt socially isolated, declining dinner invitations out of fear and shame. Her life revolved around deprivation and guilt. Her transformation began when we stopped talking about food and started talking about nutrition. Broccoli stopped being a punishment and became her eye protector. Avocado was no longer fat, but an anti-inflammatory balm. This reframing was psychologically liberating. She rediscovered the joy of cooking, of creating colorful and vibrant dishes. She felt in control, proactive, and as a wonderful side effect, her health flourished. Her energy returned, her blood sugar stabilized, and she began accepting dinner invitations again, armed not with fear, but with knowledge. Before we move on to the final step in consolidating all of this, allow me, as your doctor in this conversation, to reinforce one point with the utmost seriousness. The information I'm sharing is designed to educate, empower, and give you the tools for a more effective partnership with your healthcare provider. It does not, under any circumstances, replace personalized medical advice. It is absolutely imperative that you do not make drastic changes to your diet or, more importantly, your medication, without the direct supervision of a doctor who understands your case. The ideal scenario, which I see frequently, is that these positive changes lead to such significant improvement that your medication needs to be adjusted downward. This is a victory, but one that needs to be managed safely and with professional precision to avoid dangerous episodes of hypoglycemia. Remember, this is your journey, but you don't have to walk it alone. Now that we've pieced together this puzzle, that you understand the three-pronged strategy: fiber that controls, fat that soothes, and antioxidants that protect, a very practical and realistic question arises. I hear it every day in my office, usually accompanied by a sigh. "Doctor, this is all fantastic. The logic is perfect, the science makes sense, but my life is crazy. Between work, family, bills to pay, and exhaustion at the end of the day, the idea of orchestrating this nutritional symphony at every meal, every day, seems overwhelming. There are days when I just can't do it. I feel guilty. I feel like I've failed. Isn't there a way to have a safety net? A way to ensure my body receives this fundamental protective foundation even on the most imperfect days?" This isn't an excuse. It's the reality of modern life, and it's perhaps the most significant barrier between knowledge and real transformation. Consistency trumps perfection any day of the week. Daily, reliable, and consistent nutritional support is infinitely more powerful than 1 week of perfect eating followed by 3 weeks of chaos. That's why a truly intelligent support system for metabolic health must be built on the pillars of effectiveness, synergy, and, crucially, convenience. It needs to concentrate the power of these bioactive compounds in a way that's simple to integrate into your routine, no matter how unpredictable. It must be a bridge over the turbulent waters of everyday life. It was precisely this need, this gap between intention and execution, that led me to research and recommend a specific, integrated protocol to my patients, a system that acts as this daily metabolic foundation. It was designed to incorporate the same principles we discussed, helping to optimize insulin sensitivity, combat silent inflammation, and provide robust antioxidant defense. To save you the daunting task of navigating a market flooded with products of dubious quality, I made sure to include a direct link in the description and in the pinned comment below. This link points to the exact formulation that I, after extensive analysis, trust and recommend for its purity, potency, and alignment with the scientific approach we advocate. Think of it as your nutritional insurance policy, ensuring your body receives its key strategic allies every day. This type of protocol works not because it's a magic pill, but because it's a smart accelerator. It takes your good habits, like choosing better foods and exercising more, and makes them exponentially more effective. It provides, in a concentrated form, plant extracts, essential minerals like chromium and magnesium, and compounds like alpha-lipoic acid, which would be very difficult to obtain in therapeutic doses from food alone. It fills in the gaps, ensuring that your biology is always tilted in your favor. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and envision a different future. A future where you wake up feeling genuinely rested, not exhausted, where your mind is clear and sharp, not foggy, where you choose what to eat with joy and confidence, not fear and calculation. A future where you have plenty of energy to dedicate yourself to your passions, your family, your life. A future where the fear of complications is replaced by the confidence of someone who is actively building a stronger, healthier, and more resilient body. This vision is not a fantasy. It is the physiological result of a body that is being consistently and intelligently nourished and protected. Your journey of transformation begins with the first step, with the first decision to apply knowledge into action. Today, you learned that your plate can and should be your greatest source of power and healing. If this in-depth conversation gave you clarity, tools, and above all hope, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring the paths to vibrant health together. And please, I ask you to share this video. Think of one person, just one, who is facing this same struggle. Your sharing could be the beacon they've been waiting for to find their way back home, to a healthy, functional body. Thank you so much for your precious time and for your trust in me. Take care of yourself with the care and intelligence you deserve.